Welcome, and thank you for joining us. Please note that this AI-generated podcast is intended solely for general learning and educational purposes. While we strive to ensure accuracy, the AI may occasionally produce errors or incomplete information. We strongly encourage you to consult qualified professionals and conduct your own due diligence before making any legal, financial, or business decisions based on the content presented here. Also, if you find this content valuable, we kindly request you to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell to receive updates on future episodes. Let's begin.
Okay, let's unpack this. Universities are constant engines of innovation, churning out incredible breakthroughs from labs to classrooms.
Absolutely. The research output is phenomenal.
But turning that brilliant research, that groundbreaking science, into something that truly impacts the world, that's often where the real puzzle begins.
Bridging that gap is the core challenge.
Today, our Deep Dive's mission is to cut through that complexity. We're going to understand exactly how universities are adopting sophisticated, data-driven tools to make much smarter, more strategic decisions about their groundbreaking inventions.
Yeah, moving beyond just gut feelings.
Think of it as your shortcut to being genuinely well-informed about the cutting edge of university intellectual property strategy.
And specifically, we're diving deep into university patent ranking systems. These aren't just technical tools. They're really designed to solve a critical, often overwhelming challenge faced by university technology transfer offices, or TTOs.
We'll explore how these systems uniquely differ from, say, corporate approaches, dissect the specific parameters universities use, everything from a patent's legal strength to its potential societal impact, the whole picture.
Right. And we'll walk you through the practical, step-by-step process of implementing these systems.
We even have some compelling hypothetical examples that show their real-world outcomes, things that really make it click.
You'll also discover the profound strategic benefits they offer, extending far beyond simple commercialization, even guiding future research directions. It's quite powerful.
And crucially, we'll address the common challenges universities face in adopting these systems and how they're successfully overcoming them.
Our mission today is really to show you how these data-driven tools are transforming university IP portfolios, moving them from just passive records into dynamic engines of societal and economic progress.
Going far beyond that traditional intuition we talked about.
Exactly. It's a big shift.
So let's start right at the problem, because it's a significant one. Universally, our academic institutions produce an astonishing number of patents every year, fueled by the tireless research of faculty and students.
That's absolutely true. Thousands upon thousands globally. However, here's the stark reality. Only a tiny fraction, really, of those patents actually lead to successful commercialization, new companies, or truly measurable societal impact.
And it's not for a lack of brilliant ideas, though, is it?
Not at all. The ideas are often groundbreaking. The bottleneck is elsewhere.
It's a huge systemic challenge. University technology transfer offices, the TTOs we mentioned, are consistently operating under significant resource constraints.
That's the key phrase.
We're talking about limitations in funding, staffing, and just plain time. It means they simply cannot pursue commercialization for every single patent application that crosses their desk.
They have to pick their battles. They have no choice.
Historically, that process often relied heavily on expert intuition, maybe. Or perhaps even just the faculty push, whatever the inventor was most passionate about.
Right. And while well-intentioned, this traditional, less systematic method often meant truly high-impact opportunities could be overlooked.
Just lost in the sheer volume of new ideas.
Precisely. Lost in the noise. We've seen cases where a patent deemed too early, or maybe too niche by intuition, once it was scored systematically, revealed a massive, underserved market opportunity.
Wow.
Yeah, something that would have otherwise been completely missed, leading to, say, a multi-million-dollar spin-out.
That makes perfect sense. So in this context, what exactly is a patent ranking system? How does it cut through that noise you mentioned?
Okay, so at its core, it's a sophisticated data-driven tool. It's designed to objectively evaluate and prioritize individual patents, or even entire patent portfolios.
So less gut feeling, more hard data.
Exactly. Instead of just intuition, it assigns a composite score to each patent by systematically quantifying various different parameters.
Okay. This isn't just about efficiency, then. It sounds like it's about unlocking hidden potential, too.
That's a great way to put it. Unlocking potential that might otherwise stay buried.
Now, corporations have been using various forms of IP assessment for years, but what makes universities unique here? Why do they need their own adapted systems? Seems like they could just copy the corporate model.
But what's fascinating here is that university patents have a fundamentally different DNA compared to corporate IP portfolios. It's a whole different ballgame.
How so?
Well, corporations primarily focus on maximizing revenue and gaining a competitive edge, right?
Yeah,
Their bottom line is usually profit.
makes sense.
University patents, however, are typically much earlier in the development pipeline. Often they're still quite raw discoveries, closer to basic science.
More exploratory, less market ready.
Exactly. And they're often driven by scientific curiosity, pushing the boundaries of knowledge, rather than an immediate defined market demand.
So their evaluation criteria must stretch far beyond simple profit potential.
Precisely. Their focus has to be on broader impact. Things like social benefits, educational advancements, environmental improvements, public health, you name it.
Right, that unique context absolutely necessitates adapting those traditional corporate systems.
It does. We need to introduce parameters specifically relevant to the academic world. Things like proof of concept readiness, meaning how far along is the development? Is it just a theory or is there a working prototype?
And I imagine things like how influential the underlying research is, maybe, or
Like,
even whether it aligns with bigger global goals.
absolutely. Academic influence metrics, like how often a patent or its underlying research paper is cited by other scientists. That's crucial.
Kind of like a measure of its scientific ripple effect.
Exactly. Think of forward citations like that ripple effect in the innovation pool.
Huh.
A patent with a high forward citation count isn't just influential on paper. It's often the foundational bedrock for entire new industries or significant scientific advancements. It signals a profound, lasting impact. Then there's ESG/SDG alignment. Does it contribute to environmental, social, and governance goals? Or the UN Sustainable Development Goals, like sustainability or inclusion?
Important factors for a university's mission.
Hugely important. Also, spin out feasibility. What's the potential for a new company to be formed from this invention? Often considering, the entrepreneurial interests of the inventors
Oh,
themselves.
wait, is the team ready to run with it?
And finally, its overall mission relevance to the university's specific institutional goals. Things like fostering regional economic development or addressing local health disparities. It ties back to the university's core purpose.
Okay, that clarifies the why. Now let's dig into the how. How do these systems actually work? What are the specific parameters they consider? How do they score them? And what tools are used to crunch all this data? You mentioned four main categories.
That's right. The first category covers legal and formal metrics. These basically assess the patent's legal robustness and its strategic positioning in the world.
Okay, so things like,
Well, forward citations, as we just discussed, how often it's cited later, showing its influence. Then patent family size, which is the number of different countries or jurisdictions where the patent application has been filed.
so it's global footprint, essentially.
Precisely. A broad family often suggests significant investment and perceived value by the university or inventors.
And then there's the actual wording and current status of the patent itself, like its legal health.
Correct. Claims breadth and clarity is key, looking at the scope and defensibility of the core claims made within the patent. For university patents, this can be a delicate balance.
How so?
You want broad claims for market potential, naturally, but they must also be legally defensible, especially when the invention is still early stage. And the legal status isn't just a technical detail, it's the immediate health check of a patent.
Meaning if it's active or not.
Exactly. An active in-force patent is obviously a much higher priority for commercialization than one that's expired or lapsed, no matter how brilliant it originally was.
Makes sense. Okay, the second category is technical quality metrics. This sounds like it gets into the invention's scientific merit and innovative depth.
It does. This includes a novelty score, which quantifies how much the invention really differentiates from existing prior art, basically, how truly new and inventive it is.
How groundbreaking is it really?
Right. Then there's the inventor track record. We look at the patent and publication history of the lead inventor or inventors. It reflects their proven experience and productivity in that specific field.
So are they established experts?
Sort of, yeah. And technology relevance is often indicated by things like cross-domain citations. Does it show applicability across different sectors, not just its original field? A patent cited in both biotech and computing, for example, might suggest much broader potential.
Interesting. Okay, next we have market and commercial indicators. This sounds like where the rubber meets the road, commercially speaking, even for these early-stage university inventions.
Indeed. And a critical one here is proof of concept stage, that level of development we talked about. Is there a prototype, pilot studies, preclinical data, anything validating its feasibility?
Which you said can be a challenge for universities to fund.
It often is. We also look for industry engagement. Any evidence like memoranda of understanding, MOUs, non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, or joint R&D projects, these signal direct interest from potential commercial partners.
Real market validation, even if preliminary.
Exactly. And finally, estimated market size. What's the scope of the problem the invention addresses? This indicates potential demand and the possible commercial scale.
And the final category, strategic and societal alignment. This is where those unique university goals really come into play, right? Where a university can differentiate its impact.
This is absolutely where the university's broader mission takes center stage. Mission Fit assesses how well the invention aligns with the university's specific strategic themes, research priorities, or institutional goals. Think affordable healthcare for underserved populations or promoting clean energy solutions.
Tying it back to their identity.
Precisely. Then ESG/SDG relevance measures the degree to which the patent contributes to environmental, social, and governance goals, or those UN Sustainable Development Goals, clean water, sustainable cities, inclusive education, etc.
And spin-out potential.
Yeah, looking at the likelihood and readiness for a new company to be formed based on the invention. Often considering the entrepreneurial interest and, frankly, the commitment of the inventors, it's about empowering innovation from within.
So with all these diverse parameters, how are they actually combined into one usable score? It sounds like it could get incredibly complicated.
Well, it's designed to be systematic, not overly complex in the output. Each patent is scored on its individual metrics, usually normalized on something like a 0 to 1 scale. That allows for fair comparison across different types of measures.
Okay, apples to apples, sort of.
Right. These individual scores are then aggregated using weighted averages to create that final composite score. And the weighting is really key here.
Because different universities might prioritize different things.
Exactly. A common weighting model suggested for universities, just as an example, might be legal robustness at 25%, technical quality at 25%, market potential getting a bit more at 30%, and strategic social impact at 20%. But this flexible model allows universities to tailor the system to their specific priorities.
Got it. And what kind of tools are TTOs actually using to make this happen? It sounds like a ton of data and analysis.
It absolutely is. They typically leverage specialized patent analytics platforms. You might have heard of lens.org or WIPO's Patent Scope. Tools like that help retrieve and analyze patent data pretty efficiently.
Okay.
Many also employ custom Excel models or even AI tools, especially a more nuanced semantic analysis or citation analysis, to really dig deeper into the content and connections of the patents.
Getting beyond just the numbers.
Right. And often it's all managed and visualized through TTO-maintained innovation dashboards. These give them a comprehensive view of their entire IP portfolio's performance and potential at a glance.
All right, we've talked about the why and the how. Now let's get to the doing. The practical implementation process and what kind of real-world impact these systems can actually have. You mentioned a 6-step process for universities.
That's right, a fairly well-defined process. The first step is robust data collection. Just gathering all the essential patent metadata, citation counts, detailed inventor data. You need good data in to get good results out. That forms the bedrock.
Garbage in, garbage out, as they say.
Precisely. Then, step 2 is metric calculation. This involves utilizing those specialized tools we just mentioned to assess parameters like novelty, citation strength, claim scope, and so on. This is where the raw data gets turned into meaningful scores for each metric.
And that's where the composite score truly takes shape.
Well, that's step 3, scoring and ranking, where those normalized values for each metric are brought together, usually using the weighted average, to calculate the composite score for each patent. This creates your ranked list, from highest potential to lowest.
Okay, so you have the rank list. What's next? Just act on the top ones.
Not quite yet. Step 4 is validation, and this is crucial. TTO staff and, importantly, domain experts, specialists in specific technological or market areas, review the top-ranked candidates.
Ah, the human check.
Exactly. They check for accuracy, context, and any qualitative nuances the data might have missed. This human element is absolutely vital for credibility and accuracy.
So once it's validated and you have this prioritized list, then what happens?
That leads us to step 5, action, the exciting part. This involves selecting those high-potential patents for specific follow-up. That might mean targeted licensing outreach to industry, maybe securing further development funding, or providing spin-out support to help inventors launch new companies.
Putting the plan into motion.
Right. And the final crucial step, number 6, which is sometimes overlooked, is establishing a continuous feedback loop, meaning universities track the actual outcomes of the patents they chose to act on. Did they get licensed? Did the spin-out succeed? And they use that outcome data to refine the scoring model, usually annually, to improve its predictive effectiveness over time. It's an iterative learning process.
That makes a lot of sense. To make this really concrete for you listening, we have some illustrative use cases. These are real-world hypotheticals, but they show exactly how these patent ranking systems help universities identify truly valuable patents that might otherwise fly under the radar. Let's start with an AI-based diagnostic tool.
Okay. Imagine a patent for a machine learning model for genetic risk profiling developed in a university lab. This patent, maybe it wasn't getting much attention initially, but through the ranking system, it's identified as highly valuable.
Why? What did the system pick up?
Well, the system flagged it as exceptionally highly novel, meaning like very few similar patents were found in global databases. It also scored high on strong academic citations and high inventor credibility, validating its scientific rigor and the team behind it.
And it sounds like it already had some industry buzz, which is key.
Indeed. The data showed it had already received unsolicited licensed interest from 2 diagnostics companies, even before the TTO did any formal outreach. That's a strong market signal.
And the readiness level.
Crucially, a prototype was validated in a partner hospital, demonstrating real-world viability, not just theory. And for the university, it aligned perfectly with their strategic goals for personalized and equitable healthcare, ticking that societal impact box.
So what was the outcome for the university with this particular patent in this scenario?
Because it scored so highly across the board and was validated, this patent was fast-tracked for exclusive licensing to one of those interested diagnostics companies. This led to significant upfront payments and a robust stream of future milestone royalties for the university.
Wow. Clear, data-driven commercialization efficiency as substantial revenue generation.
Exactly.
Okay, our second example is a solar energy coating. What made this one stand out in the ranking system?
So picture a patent for a perovskite-based nanocoating for solar panels. It ranked exceptionally highly. The system highlighted several things. First, it was filed in major jurisdictions,
Yeah.
US, EU, Japan, showing global market ambition.
Okay.
Second, it was receiving multiple citations from the energy sector, validating its technical importance in that field. Plus, critically, it had achieved laboratory proof of concept, moving it beyond just theoretical potential.
And this one had a different kind of impact, didn't it? Beyond just licensing.
Yes, this is interesting. Critically, the system, perhaps combined with TTO knowledge, identified that a postdoc inventor involved was really keen, really interested in forming a spin-out company based on this technology.
Ah, the entrepreneurial angle.
Right. This entrepreneurial drive, combined with the patent's high scores across other metrics, plus its alignment with national renewable energy missions, it all pointed towards supporting a spin-out.
And the outcome.
The outcome was remarkable. A new spin-out company was formed, and based on the strength of the validated IP and the team, it successfully secured $1.5 Zampa in seed capital and accelerator support.
Fantastic. Bringing a cutting-edge green technology closer to market and creating new jobs.
Exactly. A different kind of success story.
Finally, let's look at an offline learning system. This sounds like it could have a truly massive societal impact, especially globally.
Absolutely. Think about a patent for a low-bandwidth learning platform designed for rural access. This scored incredibly high, especially on those strategic and societal alignment metrics.
What did the data show?
It showed strong citations in both education research and ICT research, highlighting its interdisciplinary relevance. Crucially, it had already been tested with NGOs in developing regions, demonstrating its real-world applicability and impact where it's needed most.
So direct proof it works in the target environment.
Yes. And this directly supported SDG 4, quality education, a core UN Sustainable Development Goal. And it benefited from broad interdisciplinary support within the university itself. Lots of departments were interested.
What was the outcome here? Was it a spin-out? Licensing?
In this case, the patent was licensed to 2 NGOs and 1 edtech startup focused on underserved markets. This generated royalty-based social returns for the university, maybe not huge financial returns, but significant impact, while directly addressing critical societal needs by expanding educational access.
These examples really showcase the diverse ways these systems can identify and cultivate value, don't they? Moving beyond just immediate financial returns to encompass broader societal benefits, too.
That's the real power, I think, seeing the full spectrum of potential impact.
So let's pull back and look at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
The main strategic benefits for universities using these patent ranking systems, it's clearly about much more than just finding that occasional hidden gem, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, the most immediate benefit, the one TTOs feel right away, is commercialization efficiency. These systems provide a much clearer roadmap to identify patents with the highest likelihood of market success, or spin-out success, or societal impact success.
Which means less wasted effort.
Exactly, significantly reducing wasted effort on lower value filings. This means TTOs can focus their limited bandwidth where it truly matters, leading to better outcomes overall.
And that leads directly to resource optimization, I assume?
Precisely. They enable universities to intelligently prioritize their limited legal budgets, their marketing efforts, their development funding. It streamlines the entire IP management process.
And improves inventor engagement. How so?
Because inventors see that their most impactful work, the work flagged by the system, is actively being supported and pursued. They feel their efforts are valued and directed effectively. You're putting your resources where they have the maximum potential impact.
That makes sense. It also sounds like it could be a significant boost for the researchers themselves, fostering a different kind of motivation, maybe.
That's a critical and I think often underestimated benefit: academic recognition and motivation. By systematically highlighting truly impactful work, not just publications, these systems encourage inventors to pursue high-relevance research.
Connecting research to real-world outcomes more visibly.
Yes. And this can even be linked internally to things like seed funding opportunities or internal innovation awards, creating a powerful positive feedback loop for innovation and building a culture that really values translational research.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me, something that goes far beyond just sorting patents for commercialization. You're saying these systems can actually guide a university's future research strategy. They literally help shape where the institution focuses its intellectual firepower next.
This is where the foresight comes in. It's incredibly strategic. They help identify core strengths by tracking which research domains consistently produce high-ranking patents.
Like seeing clusters emerge.
Exactly. Maybe it's AI applications in medicine or clean energy technologies or cutting-edge biotech coming from specific departments or labs. This data directly informs strategic R&D focus, guiding decisions on where to invest more, and even informing strategic cluster hiring initiatives to build on those strengths.
Wow. And it allows for comparison, too.
Absolutely. It enables benchmarking against peer institutions globally. You can see not only where your university excels, but also identify potential gaps or maybe even spot collaboration opportunities with others who have complementary strengths.
So a university can see not just where it currently shines, but also strategically plan for its future leadership in certain areas.
Precisely. And they can also use this data to align with national priorities. They can map their patent clusters to government R&D missions, say, developing green hydrogen technologies or advancing quantum computing.
Which could help secure funding.
Definitely. It helps secure aligned funding and high-level partnerships. And finally, on a more granular level, they guide internal investment by allocating internal seed grants more strategically to promising early-stage research projects and funding prototype development for those high-potential early-stage inventions identified by the system.
It really transforms IP strategy from just a reactive process managing what comes in into proactive, institution-wide strategic planning.
That's the goal, making it a driver, not just a consequence, of research strategy.
Of course, no system is perfect, and there are always common challenges in implementing these sophisticated ranking models, especially in a university setting. What are some of the big ones, and crucially, how can universities overcome them effectively?
Yeah, there are definitely hurdles. One very common challenge is incomplete market data. As we've said, market data for very early-stage university patents can be notoriously scarce. Many inventions are still years away from hitting the market.
So how do you evaluate market potential then?
The mitigation involves using clever proxies. Things like express licensing interest from industry, even if tentative, detailed total addressable market TAM estimations based on the size of the problem the invention solves, or bringing in robust expert reviews specifically to gauge commercial potential.
Okay, finding other signals. What about the time lag in citations? You mentioned citations are important, but it takes time for new patents to accrue them, right? So how do you evaluate very recent inventions using that metric?
That's a valid point and a common issue. The mitigation there involves using alternative early signals. For nascent technologies, this might mean relying more heavily on those expert reviews by leading academics or industry specialists in the field.
Getting opinions from people who know the cutting edge.
Right. Also, internal assessments of technical merit from the TTO itself, and capturing direct, qualitative industry feedback from any early engagements or discussions. You supplement the lagging citation data.
Makes sense. Another challenge must be sector-specific differences. The relevance and weighting of these parameters must vary wildly between, say, biotech and software or material science.
Oh, absolutely. You can't use a rigid one-size-fits-all approach to evaluate, say, a new drug candidate versus a new software algorithm or an educational tool. The indicators of success are just different.
So how do you handle that diversity?
The mitigation is crucial. You need to create sector-adjusted ranking weights and models. You essentially tailor the algorithm and the importance of different factors to the specific type of innovation being evaluated. This ensures a fair and accurate evaluation across the university's diverse portfolio.
Right. And finally, a potentially significant hurdle. Faculty resistance. I can imagine some faculty members might be resistant to new data-driven evaluation methods, maybe viewing it as an intrusion or an oversimplification of their complex research.
That's definitely a sensitive area and a real challenge. Building buy-in is key.
How do you build that buy-in and trust? That sounds like it requires a cultural shift as much as a technical one.
It absolutely is a cultural aspect. The key mitigation strategies involve robust education, clearly explaining the benefits to all stakeholders, especially faculty. Ensuring absolute transparency in how the storing works is vital. No black boxes.
And involving them.
Yes, most importantly, actively involving faculty and respected domain experts from within the university in the validation process. When they see the system highlighting genuinely impactful work, when they understand how it helps allocate resources more effectively to support innovation, it builds trust and a sense of shared ownership.
So it becomes a tool for them, not to them.
That's the ideal, yes.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting then. We've seen how these systems can streamline decisions, boost commercialization, potentially generate revenue, support spinouts, and even guide a university's long-term research strategy. This isn't just about managing patents better. It feels like a profound shift in how innovation is understood and managed within academia.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this whole data-driven approach, it really raises an important question, something for you listening to ponder.
How might the transparency and the rich data generated by these very patent ranking systems designed initially just to optimize patent portfolios, how might that data fundamentally reshape how universities define and perhaps even measure their broader impact on society?
Could these systems, perhaps unintentionally at first, lead to entirely new metrics emerging? Metrics that capture the full, multifaceted spectrum of innovation universities unlock.
Metrics moving far beyond traditional academic publications counts or just the financial returns from licenses to really quantify that deeper societal contribution. What might those new measures look like?